Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's Glasklar Hub. Glasklar Hub is brought to us by Glasklar, which was, as many of you may well know, was the first and the original refillable lens cleaning system designed to deliver customer loyalty and retention in your business. So we started doing Glasklar Hubs with a view to bringing sort of more business type content to our customers and our non-customers for that matter, with a view to hopefully becoming customers. And I've spoken this year so far to Sarah Morgan around customer loyalty and that kind of thing. And more recently to Jim Green, the managing director of the Eyesight group of practices. So there's always something to learn from listening to these people who have got experience in business and understand that aspect of life. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you this evening Nicola Alexander-Cross, who is an optometrist and also the managing director or CEO, Nicola?
CEO and co-founder.
CEO and co-founder, thank you, of Peep Club. So some of you will be aware of what Peep Club is. Some of you, I guess, if you're on here, you probably have looked it up and researched it, and you may well be familiar with some of the products. But before we get into that, let's lovely to have you here, Nicola, and I'm looking forward to our chat and sharing some of what you've done as hopefully I think there's some inspirational stuff as a businesswoman and as well as an optometrist, and doing something a little bit different from just ploughing the traditional, optometry furrow, shall we say. So give us a bit of background, because you didn't get into optometry straight away, did you?
No, I took a very long route into optometry. My first degree was actually in economics from the London School of Economics. And I don't know how familiar you are with LSE, but when you're there, you pretty much go into investment banking or management consulting. So I went into investment banking to start off with, and I worked with tech companies. And then I went to a technology startup that was based in Silicon Valley, which I really, really loved. And I did software sales for them. And then gradually through the years, I really enjoyed it, but I did always feel like something was quite missing. And I met my husband, who's a surgeon, and he was always talking about his patients and helping them. And then one day I was in having an eye test, actually, at my dad, who's an optometrist. And I was in his room, and I was reading all the thank you cards that he was been getting from his patients. And I don't know what happened on that specific day, because obviously I've had my eyes tested many times, but something obviously happened that day where I just thought, wow, how amazing to do something that actually can have an impact on people. And so I went all the way back to university, did another undergraduate degree in optometry, and then qualified as an optometrist, and started Peep Club along the way with my partner, Natasha.
So how long have you been qualified now, Nicola?
Oh, 3 years. So I'm very newly qualified.
And you were in practice today, weren't you? I think.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. So you're doing some practice work, and you have a young family, don't you?
I do. I have a 4-month-old, Casey.
Oh,
do I look very tired? Because I feel very tired. And I have a 2-year-old, Stevie.
So optometry, Peep Club, family, that keeps you fairly busy.
It does. It does.
So when did you start? Where did the whole Peep Club thing come from?
So when I was at City, I'm sure there are some people on this call who've been at City, and I'm sure it's the same at other optometry universities. But the third year, you are seeing patients. That's like when you kind of whet your appetite for seeing patients, and you often ask your friends and family to come be your practice patients. And one of my longtime friends, who I've been friends with since I was 10 years old, is Natasha. And Natasha has perfect vision. Everything is perfect. At the time, she was in her late 20s, but she had terrible dry eyes because her background is in marketing and advertising. And I'm sure she'd be embarrassed for me for saying this, but she's a real rock star in the advertising world. She's worked for everybody, L'Oreal, Marks and Spencer's, Google, and she just had these terrible dry eyes. So we set out on a journey to just sort of explore all the dry eye options out there, because my feeling was, well, if you have dry eyes, I'm sure there are lots of people who haven't. I should just get to know what's out there for everyone and use this as an opportunity to really understand. And so along the way, we were just trying all these things, and we just realized that actually the thing that really struck with us is Natasha kept referring to this graveyard drawer of eye drops and dry eye products. She just kept referring to this graveyard drawer where she'd try something, it would work, but then she'd stop using it and it would just drop off a cliff. And that's ultimately where we saw an opportunity, because we were like, well, you know, this is a common problem. Compliance is a common problem, not just in eye care, but in all medical fields. So if we could just crack this and have something that people would love to use, that they would look forward to using, that would be very much an open goal for us in terms of patient outcomes, you know, as well. So, and for Natasha especially. So that's kind of what led us down the route of discovering. Peep Club kind of found us as much as we found it.
So Natasha is your business partner and co-founder?
Yes.
And how are her eyes these days?
Crystal clear. They are
using your products, of course.
Yeah, she's our best advertisement.
So when did you launch in the end?
So we were founded in 2019. We actually launched right as the pandemic hit. So March 2020. And it really scuppered up.
Yeah, how did that change your plans?
Well, our original plan was to launch in independent optometrists. That was actually the strategy number one. Obviously, that got completely thrown out the window because everyone had to close down. So then we pivoted to online and selling through our own website. It was kind of it was a good and a bad thing in terms of Peep Club, because on one hand, we didn't have the sales strategy that we planned to have. On the other hand, everyone got very dry eyes during COVID because of all the increased screen use. And also, you know, the masks creating all that evaporation around the eyes. There were lots of factors that just made COVID, you know, one of these collateral damage of it was just dry eyes. So yeah, I think finally we've come around to being an independent optometrist, but that was plan A actually.
So how did Peep Club come about? The actual brand, as it were. I mean, that's interesting.
Name?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yes. We wanted something that was fun. One of our key principles is that we have this idea called the treat effect. So one of the ways that we improve compliance is that we make all our products have cosmetic benefits too. Because let me tell you, I've never once forgotten to put my skin cream on, but I have forgotten to put my eye drops in or use my hot compress. And the reason is just because skincare makes you feel good and it also makes you look good. So that is one of our things, this treat effect. So we wanted something that was fun. You know, we believe that the journey to good eye health should be joyful. We wanted something that people would remember, and they obviously remember it because of Peep Show. So it was a little bit cheeky. I won't tell you who we bought the website peepclub.com from, but let's just say we saved Peep Club very much from a life of sin. Peepclub.com could have been a very different business.
Yes. So it's peepclub.co.uk.
Yes, peepclub.com and peepclub.co.uk.
Okay. Okay, right, I'm with you. So yes, you had to acquire that one to avoid people inadvertently stumbling on something they probably didn't want to stumble on.
Yes, there were a few months when we first got the domain name where we ourselves couldn't access our website because it was banned from our devices.
Yeah. Okay. Fortunately, that's all sorted.
Yes.
So what was the first product?
So we launched with just the heated eye, the original heated eye wand, and the coconut eye balm. Those were our first two products.
And how did you come up with? I mean, the heat wand is the kind of, I guess, the hero product and the mainstay of the brand and the portfolio currently. How did you go down that route? Because it is completely different to what we've been doing, regular compresses. So how did that all start?
So it's really interesting because, you know, in medicine and in even optometry, there is a lot of conflicting opinion about management. except when it comes to dry eyes, actually. Most eye drops use pretty much the same set of ingredients, and we all know the standard operating procedure is hot compress, use it every night, and then massage your eyelids. So there wasn't much disagreement. But then when it came down to it, it just came down to people weren't really using the heated eye mask as much as they should be. And the people who were getting wonderful results, and they still do. So when it came to someone like Natasha, who just wasn't seeing these results, what is stopping her from using it every night? Because if she did, she would get great results. And it really was that she just didn't have the time to sit down for 10 minutes at a time, close her eyes and put it on. And if she did, she forgot. And if she was traveling, she couldn't have a microwave with her. There were just a lot of things that were stopping her. So we wanted to make it simple. Keep your eyes open, no microwave or hot water needed. And that for us all pointed to a device. At the same time, just at that time, 2019, 2020, there was this boom in skincare, at-home skincare devices. So, for example, someone like me who absolutely loves skincare, I'd been to, the beautician, and where you would sit under a red LED light to help boost collagen and elastin. But then all of a sudden, these devices were available at home for you to use within your own home. And so it just was a perfect opportunity where we could see a device being, having this proven track record now for being able to be used at home, but take the hot compress element of it and put it into a device as well. And that's where we kind of started with the heated eye wand. And then we did this set of clinical studies at City University, which compared the heated eye wand to a heated eye bag across various metrics for dry eyes. So like non-invasive tear breakup time, tear meniscus height, tear quality, graded tear quality, and felt that it performed as well as the heated eye bag. Plus it held temperature better because it was a device. Plus the huge component of it, you have better compliance, which means that people tend to see better results with it, at least the people who couldn't use the heated eye bag, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you find your market is more female or male? I guess it's female, isn't it? But I don't know what the proportions might be.
I think it's more split than we expect it to be. I think we certainly expected more female. I do think that that especially older women who have dry eyes, it's such a big problem for them. And this is I'm very passionate about this, because I've spoken to so many women who, when you actually hear the stories, you think, sometimes you think, oh, it's just dry eyes, or I think a person could just think it's just dry eyes. But when you speak to women and they say, oh, it's my daughter's wedding and I can't wear makeup because my eyes are so dry, or people think I'm crying all the time and stop me on the street because they think I'm crying all the time, and my eyes are just burning and there's this like dry skin around it, and you hear these stories over and over again, you can completely understand why I think women really are searching for something that helps them a lot. Oftentimes we get emails from customers that they've bought it for their husband. So I don't know if they maybe found it, the brand maybe appeals a bit more to women, but we'd never set out for that necessarily to be the case. But I do think that it definitely appeals hugely to women just because it's effective, it works, and it does have the skincare benefits, which I think that they appreciate too.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. I mean, your point about compliance with compresses, is I don't think there's any metrics on it or any studies been done, but most studies conclude that. Funny enough, I was given a lecture yesterday on using heat in MGD management and looking at the various options available now, including the heated eye wand Pro, of course, and love wand, by the way.
Oh, that was all Natasha.
Was that an automatic? Was wand a thing that just came to you straight away, or did you have to call it a stick or something else beforehand, out of interest?
This genius is entirely down to Natasha. I don't know how she thinks of it.
Right.
I'll just say, Tash, this is the product, for example, our new launch, the lid stick. This is our product. It's going to be a stick that goes in. She just comes up with these lid stick, and they're so catchy. I agree completely. And then we just have to trademark them very quickly. Is the key thing.
Yeah. So we were talking about, there are studies that show, ultimately, if you use a heated flannel in a microwave and you replace it every couple of minutes or so, you will get a similar effect to a compress. But
Yeah.
the obvious comment in the conclusion of the study is patients are far more likely to use a compress that is heated once and maintains that heat for longer than they are to keep reheating a flannel. I mean, actually, if you think about it, if you extrapolate that, in some cases, you probably need to reheat the compress because they are losing heat. And actually, to get them to the heat you need to get the inner eyelid warm enough, you need to get the inner eyelid to 40 degrees plus, don't you? Then actually, you've got to hit it very hot, because by the time it starts to cool, it's potentially not getting to the temperature. So I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons for all the different devices out there, and we're not intending to talk about those today. But what an electronic device does, without a shadow of a doubt, is how long does it take to get to temperature typically?
1 minute.
1 minute. So it's slightly longer than in a microwave, but by the time you've then gone upstairs with the said compress and then got into bed and laid with it, or whatever you do, a minute has passed, doesn't it, I guess. But once it gets to that temperature, and you can set it at different temperatures as well, can't you, depending on the tolerance of the patient.
Well, this is what's also was very interesting, is that heat, for all intents and purposes, is actually quite subjective. So just like I have scalding hot baths, I love them, and that for me just feels hot, but for another person would be too hot. And one of the things that came out of when we first were developing the eye wand and we were talking to ophthalmologists is that quite a lot of people actually get burns on their eyelids because just for not following the instructions, but they don't feel like it's hot enough. Because on their and we do even get emails from customers saying, to me it doesn't feel hot enough, etc. But it is the one thing it's very much that we monitor is that it is 45 degrees maximum, which on eyelid temperature is a maximum of 43 degrees because it loses a bit of heat even though it's touching your eye. And that's one thing we know for sure, but it still can feel, temperature does feel subjective to people, just like how you can be in a house, share a house with someone and someone will say it's cold and someone will say no, it's warm.
Yeah, we have that regularly at seminars, and it's usually, with all due respect to the fairer sex, the ladies are complaining it's too cold, and the men are, when it's turned up, the men are complaining it's too hot. Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a minefield. Just coming back to the business side of it for a moment. We were just chatting beforehand, and you talked about the sort of process that you go through with new product development and bringing it to market. And I think that's quite interesting because although practices are a service business more than a product business, although they sell products, of course, but I think it's interesting how you approach introducing something new into the business. So let's take your latest product, the lid stick, and it might be worth at some point, for anyone, I'm assuming everyone's seen the heated eye wand, but perhaps they haven't. And I'm sure, there we are, and so you can see the LED light there, and you can see the temperature on it. Perfect. The other thing that we mustn't forget, actually, before I go, let's go back to the business in a minute. It massages as well.
That's right.
And I think that's a really important feature because I'm not sure how compliant practitioners are with endorsing massage, let alone if they do, the patient then doing massage every day and then doing it properly.
You're exactly right.
It's a bit of a minefield, really, isn't it?
It's really hard to do properly. That's the thing that I've always found. I find it hard to do it myself properly, let alone explain it to someone. And you only have a certain amount of time in your consulting room, of which dry eye is probably only a tiny slither of it, of that conversation. And then how much of that are they going to remember at home? So yeah, I agree with you. The massage function. So this is what's wonderful about the Heated Eye Wand Pro, is that we split out. So now you can have a heat only mode, and then you can have a heat mode plus massage, which obviously is like a hot compress plus the massage component of it, which is much more effective. The reason we split them out also though is that for some people, just the action of rubbing it along your lid margin is actually enough with the heat. But other people, you do need a little bit more that added mode.
Some people find that a little bit tickly, I guess, as well, until they get used to it.
That's exactly, yes, they do.
Yeah, but no, I think that's a unique feature. So you did it with the heat wand. You did a clinical trial. Was that before you came to market, or whilst sort of during the early marketing phase? Were you online at that time?
So we were online at that time, and we were doing it ongoing. We try always be ongoing and learning as we go. What I found to be the case is that you can try think of everything academically, and we were discussing this before. You can try academically think of all the different ways it could be used, all the different instructions you might need to have, everything you could think of in theory, and then you get it in the hands of customers, and all these things you've never thought of, that how it could be used, the questions that someone could have start trickling through. So we now have a process. So for example, for the lid stick, where it goes through multiple iterations of soft launches, and then soft launches with friends and family, soft launches with sensory testing, which we do through third-party testing, where they can check all the claims that we're making, the marketing claims, but they also send us very valuable independent feedback, which is both, quantitative. So we'll ask people, to what degree did it help on this scale, and how did it compare to other products that they're using? And then we get comments as well, so we leave for free comments. Then we do another round of iterations. Then we'll do another kind of a soft launch, and then eventually we send it out to the market. But the one thing is, we're very agile. So with all our packaging, everything, we can adapt it very, very quickly. So if we do get comments, oh, I've been using it this way, I don't find this instruction helpful, I don't find this video helpful, how do I use it alongside for example, the Heated Eye 1 Pro? Most classic question. How do I incorporate it alongside these other eye drops my optometrist gave me? Do I need to use an eye cream with it? These are all questions that we did not anticipate necessarily people asking. One of the reasons we even developed a lid stick was because one of the most common questions was, can I use it with my eye cream? And then they would list their eye cream. And when we looked into the eye cream, there were just a lot of ingredients that, if it did get on your ocular surface, would be quite irritating. So that was one of the reasons for the lid stick to come along. So it's just this very iterative process now that helps us get to this point.
Just for clarification, we've talked about the lid stick. Just explain what the lid stick is and its purpose fundamentally.
So this is it. It's a tiny little box, and it's a little stick like this. That's why it's hence the lid stick. And it's essentially a balm, but in a stick format. So that's it there. You roll it up very slightly, and you apply it to your under eye area, the sides of your eyes, and you can apply it to your upper eyelid. What it does is, first of all, gives the eye wand perfect slip. So the wand does need something underneath it so that it glides smoothly. You can also advise people to use their eye drops. So whatever, as an optometrist, whatever eye drops you're recommending will actually give it perfect slip. So if they're very sensitized or very worried, Hycosan, Theologio, any of those things would actually give it wonderful slip outside the eyes, but this is an alternative.
Hydromed would give an even better slip than all of the above.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, right. Well, Hydromed would be a great pair. But then the other thing that the lid stick does is it's essentially a balm or a salve, which is to really protect the skin barrier of the eye, which is a very weak part of our skin barrier, and it makes it very vulnerable to chapping, to inflammation, to dryness. So people who, if their eyes are watering a lot because they have dry eyes, they will have dry skin around their eyes too. And you want something very gentle that's just going to protect it, especially now it's the colder weather, that will protect it from all the elements and really calm it down. So really fight against that inflammation. The ingredients in it are, you can read all about them, I'm sure, on your website, on our website, but they're phenomenally sourced. I know personally the farm that each of these ingredients has come from. The main hero ingredient is manuka oil, which is super anti-inflammatory, but it also has evening primrose oil in it, borage oil, grapeseed oil. So just like an all-round skin barrier protection, and nothing that would irritate dry or sensitive eyes. So I'm sure many of you have read that TFOS lifestyle study. None of the ingredients at all listed in there.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we've been carrying the Eyes of the Story cosmetics range for some time. Actually, I was talking to Michelle Beach yesterday, and she was saying that she uses their eye serum currently for the lubrication element. So you get the benefit of the serum and you get the slippage, to your point, when you're using the wand. So you know, we're very much behind the fact that practitioners need to think as a profession about what we're putting on our eyes, and the more products that are out there that don't use any of the nasty toxic chemicals. That's not to say, I think it's important to note that, you know, some patients might have an allergy to certain natural substances, but it's an allergic thing rather than a toxic thing. And generally, you know, you're less likely to be allergic than you are to have a toxic reaction. Everyone will be to have a problem with toxic chemicals, won't they? So you know, it's the right thing to be doing. We should be, you know, I'm a strong advocate for, we should be advising patients beyond just our treatment that we would do, you know, clearing up the Demodex, clearing up the blepharitis, and getting the meibomian glands active again. You know, traditionally we leave it there and let them put any kind of rubbish on their eyelashes, eyelids, etc. And I don't think we can do that, even if it's just advice as to where to go to get these products. Now, that's the great thing, of course, about your. I mean, you have an online business, and that kind of came out of forced choice, really, didn't it?
Yes.
I think the great thing about, you know, the news, for those of you who haven't already worked it out, is that apart from this is a Glasklar Hub, and we talk to business people and get some insights into their business. And I think what you were talking about with regards to sort of soft launching, not being precious ultimately about consumer feedback, and it's a bit like patient feedback. Practitioners sometimes can get a little bit sensitive about it. You have to take it on the chin and learn from it and think, actually, they've probably got a point, and make, what can we do in our business to avoid that happening again, and improve our offering, isn't it? It's a constant learning process, and you just can't get precious about it, as hard as sometimes that might be.
I think you're completely right. And I also think the thing that always struck me about optometry is that independent optometrists especially are extremely entrepreneurial, because you are a small business owner, sometimes a medium or a big business owner as an independent entrepreneurship. And when you think what you've been through as an independent optometrist, you have literally outlasted major banks, have closed down on your high street. And, you know, as an independent optometrist, you survived it. It's quite crazy to think about. But I do think part of that is, you know, evolving with the times. And now we know for sure that skincare is at an all-time high in terms of Google searches, in terms of amount of products people are applying. It's a huge. So I do think, as, you know, practitioners, I think that we're a trusted advisor. We know the most about this part of the face. And if you have a perspective on it, I really think your patients are interested in what you have to say. Plus, I think more than ever, we have all this research about, you might not have dry eyes as a 21-year-old, but are you doing things in your lifestyle that are going to make it harder for you down the line to be able to wear your contact lenses successfully, to be able to continue to using the mascara that you love, whatever it is, even just like lifestyle choices you make, where you sit in the office, etc. So I do think that there's a lot to offer as an optometrist when it comes to the whole eye, as it were.
Yeah, I hark back to our specialist club yesterday. Craig Wilcox is a huge advocate as well of not just, we tend to focus on the eyes and not the face. You know, rosacea is a big problem, and you know, we can also have a role in helping managing not just ocular rosacea, but rosacea in general that can lead to dry eye problems and stuff. And actually taking a more holistic approach to this subject, I think, is important. But I was going on to say that it will be no great surprise to anybody, I'm sure, listening, that one of the reasons we've got Nicola on is also that Positive Impact is taking on the Peep Club range of products into its portfolio. Certainly as of tomorrow, those of you who are on here have probably received our emails. You'll be receiving an email about that fact, and I think there'll be a press release in the press at some point in time around that very subject, and you will be able to, there'll be a very nice launch offer on the Peep wand. The other unique thing, of course, about our business, as some of you will know, but for the benefit of those who don't, is we understand that patients want to buy stuff online, and the challenge with buying online, of course, is that you potentially lose the sale or any involvement financially in the sale. And one of the things that the Dry Eye Zone does, of course, is via a unique code that it issues to the practice, your patients, well, one will get a discount on said purchases they make, whether across our portfolio, but also the practitioner will share in that sale and be compensated for it, which is a unique proposition that is not available elsewhere. So whether you can choose to stock the eye wand, you can choose to recommend people buy it online, or a combination of the two. Either way, it's good to know that you will be being reimbursed for your recommendation of those products to the patient, and you can also be far more confident that the patient will buy what you're recommending they use, rather than going off piste elsewhere. Apart from losing any involvement in the transaction, you also may find that they're using products you would prefer them not to use. So that's all the good news around introducing this, introducing the Peep Club to our portfolio. Now, one of the things I did want to talk about is you have an onboarding process as well to support practices that decide to stock the range, I guess, ultimately, but particularly the heated eye wand. Could you sort of touch on that, Nicola?
Yes, so we really want to make we refer to optometrists, our professional partners, as successful as possible. In our mind, if we want to be the best-selling thing outside of, glasses in your practice, and the way that we do that is by really helping educate professionals on the products, because there's so much to say. And what we love doing with our professional partners is we don't sell our products anywhere else that you can go and try them. We have a pop-up right now in Covent Garden that's a month long, but outside of that, there is no other bricks and mortar way to buy Peep Club except through independent optometrists. And when you become a stockist, you're listed on our website, which people do go to. Actually, we know of a number of practices that have got new patients just from being listed on our website and going in initially to try an eye wand. So part of the onboarding when you become a stockist is our lovely head of professional partners, Kelsey, will happily join you on a phone call, on a webinar, send you videos and talk you through all our products, how they work, common questions that come up, how to use them. So you really are an expert. When someone comes in, you're essentially, you are an expert in the product. And then also support you going through. So if a patient comes in, you have a question you can't answer, if you don't want to go, and ask positive impact, we are there also to support you. We have a program where you can also get marketing material, window displays, all sorts of just different, things that might help you and just add value to that customer, just to learn about dry eyes as well. So we really would encourage, if you're interested in stocking Peep Club, to just go through the process, take 15 minutes out during your lunch break to really understand all the products and how they work together. And it does seem to work very effectively for our practices that have been onboarded.
Absolutely. I mean, it was something that we found with our affiliate model is that, and we realised we were slightly lacking, is practices were signing up. And then the biggest challenge was getting them moving, if you like, and that's partly often the owners sign up and they haven't found the time to really brief the team and about what the program is and how to use it, and that's something we're starting to do now, is develop a similar sort of onboarding program I mean, where we can take the practice team through how recommend, not so much the products, we can do that as well, but certainly because some of them are already stocking our products, it's more about why you might recommend that they go and buy it online and the benefits to the patient if they suddenly run out of something at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, and or they're going away for the weekend, they can just order a replacement product, be there when they get home. Someone orders it late one night, we'll dispatch it the next day, it'll be with them the day after. So, and I'm sure you're very similar in your turnaround times as well. So we received our stock today, thank you very much, and we're looking forward to having that in our portfolio. I think it's a real, you've come up with a really nice tool for managing dry eye, and I can see why it will appeal to a lot of people, because to your point, it's kind of eye hygiene and beauty enhancement, all those benefits. I know that I haven't tried it actually, which I must, and apologies for that, but I know Max, my business partner, has, and actually Tony Wyatt, one of our directors, he actually bought one off of Michelle. He timed that really badly, because at the time I think we were talking to you and we hadn't spoken to Tony and advised him that he could have had one for free. But anyway, they both report that it's a nice thing to use. It's a pleasant thing to use. Your eyes feel better afterwards, and you don't have to stop your day. So yeah, I mean, congratulations on coming up with such a unique product, and let's hope that it's successful for all of us, you, Positive Impact, and all the independent practitioners out there, that hopefully will get behind it, because I think there's plenty of choice out there, and you pay your money and you take your choice. But I think this is a device that we can all be confident will do the job, and people will enjoy doing it, and that's going to improve compliance. What's that phrase you have that you've trademarked?
A treat is a treatment.
A treat, not a treatment. I mean, again, was that your colleague?
Oh, yeah. She's really, I told her she was a genius. Yes, she's brilliant.
She's genius. I actually like the graveyard drawer. I think that was, I wrote that down. I don't know if you saw me write that down when you mentioned it. But what a great thing, where people chuck all the stuff they've tried on their dry eyes that doesn't work for them. Not that they're not good products necessarily. I mean, they might have bought some iffy products along the way, but usually from a practitioner recommend. It's just they don't, if they're not working for them, you've got to find something else.
Well, I think that's exactly it. I think it's kind of like being a dispensing optician, and we all know that you have the most success when you've really understood that person, their lifestyle. Like, I know when I take the time, take that extra minute, really understand what they're using the glasses for, what they really want to get out of it, what their needs are, then you give them the best of all the options you have. You can choose the best one that you have. And I think it's the same with all of our products, is if you have the right customer who has the profile, having the heated eye wand as an option, having our spray as an option, having the lid stick as an option, just gives you that ability to have a successful outcome for that patient, a bit from the range that you have. And then also, I think as a practitioner, that you can bundle things together. But a lot of time, just even our product on the shelf, it does stand out. It's won over 10 beauty awards. We say it's beloved by beauty journalists and doctors alike. So it does. I think there is certainly a customer out there who it will appeal to. And if you can offer it to them, it's so much more effective than if they stumbled upon it online, because you have that trusted relationship and you really are the expert. The number of times we have to direct our customers back to their optometrist, and be like, you should be discussing this with your optometrist, it's a lot. So you really are, I feel like, as an optometrist, the number one source of truth when it comes to your eyes.
Actually, there's a couple of questions come in. But before, I mean, that's one of the interesting things again that you guys have done. I mean, you're punching above your weight, aren't you, with the PR you're getting out there, and you know, again, I think there's a learning for practices out there. I don't think enough use their local. I mean, it's local for them rather than your national. But national media is probably more difficult coverage to get than some of the local stuff, because a lot of local is kind of crying out for stories from what's going on in the region, and it's just such a powerful tool. I assume a lot of it is you give them a product and then they write how fantastic it is.
It's honestly a combination. So definitely journalists want to try things and know that it works. The best coverage we get is from journalists who have dry eyes, have tried a number of things, and then really find, and then they tend to give us a lot of coverage over years. That's been the case. There are, but this is speaking to your point about other independent optometrists reaching out to local media. We just also get a lot of requests for information. There isn't a lot, that's very confusing out there. If you go, and I can imagine this is true because I know when I Google a symptom not related to my eyes, it's very confusing. So I do think just reaching out to local media, people do want to just have someone they can ask a question to. So we do get a lot of coverage for all the products, but also we do just get a lot of coverage because people want to know, can people wear Halloween contact lenses? What is your advice on that? Or you know, why could my eyes be affecting my sleep? Just general things that I think any optometrist probably gets asked every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you just do a quick demo of the wand for you know, roughly, not an exact one. I don't expect you to apply all the lubrication and everything, but could you just sort of talk us through it briefly so that everyone can see?
So the first thing you want to do is advise your patient to clean their eyes with whatever is, whether that's a lash foam or whatever it is. And then you want to apply some kind of lubrication. So that can be your eye drop. So like you said, the Hydromed, Hycosan, our eye spray is a very good option as well. You just spray it over closed eyes. Our lid stick. And then you turn the heated eye when you give a long press of this on-off button, turns it on. You turn the temperature up or down using these plus minus buttons. So I like it.
And what is the temperature range, Nicola?
37 degrees to 45 degrees. So it's heating up. You've got to give it 60 seconds to heat up. And then what you can do is with this same on-off button, you choose your mode. So my personal mode is I prefer just the heat, sorry, there it is, the heat and the massage. Then what you would do is very slowly on the lower eyelid, go from the inner corner very, very slowly all the way to the outer corner. I'm actually doing it too fast. You want to be really slow to give it time to work. And you want to do that for about 1 to 2 minutes. And when you've done that, you do it on the upper eyelid. So you close your eyes and then just run it very, very slowly along. You want to always go inner to outer because that's also the pathway that your fluid naturally drains, your lymphatic. So it does help depuff. And you just go slowly along. And then when you've done that, you would give it a little clean, move on to the other eye. And if you had like a full dry eye routine and you had someone, you might even advise them to clean their eyes again or to apply an eye drop after that. That would be kind of the full spectrum.
And when it comes to what you'd recommend in practice, I mean, I'm thinking about, it's long occurred to me that, you know, when we talk about contact lenses and the teach, as people call it, for contact lenses, you know, same thing rarely happens for eye drops. We issue eye drops and don't actually check that people have a clue how to put them in, particularly if they haven't used them before. Is it the sort of thing that you would, as part of your onboarding, advocating, you know, someone in the practice maybe having that role, possibly the same person that does the contact lens teach? I mean, I think they could do, you know, far more with the dry eye patients as far as making sure they use their compress, whatever it is, or your wand. Is that kind of something you endorse?
Absolutely. I think the wonderful thing about being in a practice, like I've said, there's nowhere else that you can see the wand and try it. There's nowhere else. So what you showing people how to use it, I think it just gives them that confidence in how to use it so that they're set up for success. It is, I think some people do find that there is a learning curve to it. We've added more videos, we've added more instruction manuals, but there is a bit of a learning curve. So you're just fast tracking that patient. to successful, you know, routine by showing them how to do it. And honestly, people are very surprised and delighted by it. So Natasha was just in our pop-up in Covent Garden a few weeks ago, and she was demoing it on people, and people were really just got a bit of a kick out of it. It was interesting, something new. So I think, again, to that point of, as an optometrist, you're you know, you're like the key knowledge base. I just think it gives you also that little bit of extra credibility, even if they don't go on to buy it. The fact that you have stuff.
I think we can sometimes be a bit of a serious bunch, and actually injecting a little bit of fun and other benefits beyond just our area of expertise is no bad thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. I think we've probably covered most things. We've been talking, you would be surprised to learn, for the best part of 50 minutes. So time flies when you're having fun. Thank you to everybody who, just checking no more questions. No, thank you to everybody who has tuned in. One of the things I must not forget before I go is that one lucky person, of course, will win Heated Eye Wand Pro, and we will draw that tomorrow, because obviously we need to look at who attended tonight. Not everyone that registered attends, of course, to these things, because all sorts of things get in the way of their attendance. So we will draw a lot out of a hat tomorrow, and we'll watch out for social media, because we will be plastering it everywhere, the lucky individual who is going to win one of these excellent devices. So thanks, Nicola.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure, Nick. As you know, Nick, I'm very camera shy and interview shy.
You did very, very well. No one would have guessed.
Thank you so much.
And you know what you've done is hopefully inspiring to everyone, and I'm sure people will watch with interest how your business grows, and hopefully how our business grows together, both as our businesses and our customers' businesses. So thank you very much, Nicola. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.